All right, so let's just go through what happened this week. Today's agenda, we're going to be talking about business development, uh, upcoming social media campaigns, the end of the subsidies for the market contracts, and just us redeploying everything, and then the CI pipeline fixes, because Samir has made some changes to how the whole flow works. But let's start out with the business development. So this was a couple last week. I moved everything from the business development drive into a GitHub repo, and I just like kind of reorganized everything to make it look a little bit better. Uh, so what we're hoping to do with this is just reduce our dependencies on other like companies and other apps and sites, just so that everything is in one place. If somebody wants to contribute, they can find everything in one place, and hopefully that'll make it easier for the participants and easier for us to track and make sure that everything is going right. Um, we also want that transparency, because if you have things over in different apps and different sites, it's very easy to get lost, and just not to be able to verify if something is working right or if it was done to the standard that it needed to be done at. And also, we're trying to like connect everybody in the community in one place. So we want the business development people, we want the developers all on GitHub. GitHub has a lot of good features to track issues and like create milestones and create bounties. So that's what we're hoping to do with this. I know Valerie, for example, does media. Hopefully, like the media people who haven't had much exposure to GitHub can get acquainted with it and start doing the bounties through there. It would just make things easier for everybody, in my opinion. Although there's going to be like a little bit of a learning curve, I think it's well worth it. In terms of how we're going to like get back on the get back into growing this, we need to do some social media campaigns. We have a good product, like there's some things that need to be worked out, and we're in the process of working that out. We've been going through tests, making sure that everything works right, and collecting a list of bugs so that the things that don't work right get fixed later. And after that gets done, after we do a little bit of planning and we redeploy our market contracts, we're going to be doing these campaigns, and we're going to be, for example, giving people $100 rewards in Rick for streaming $1,000. We're going to be using Twitter to do this, so that we can also track we could track more of the interactions that the users, like if somebody clicks on a link, we'll be able to see like when they joined, how they joined, and
Yeah, I want to say something about that one too, because I've been talking about that for a while. But so the marketing isn't just like tweets, right? That's actually just like more of like a communications thing. So marketing involves some kind of science and some kind of like data. So like it's great that we just have subsidies on the platform, right? And that's kind of like base, attraction. People come and they're like they can stream and they can earn some Rick, but the thing that's not captured there, yeah, you can just leave the slides up. The thing that we don't really know there is we don't really know why they're necessarily doing that, and we don't really know when it goes away, people just sort of leave. And we can already look at like, okay, well, after people left, like this time around, after subsidies ran out, we actually had a good amount of extra volume than the last time subsidies were run out. It wasn't much, but it was like 2x. So volume, organic volume, people who are streaming is still growing, right? Which is a good sign for the business. It's probably a statistic that most other projects don't have because they just keep subsidies running forever. So with this is sort of a campaign that's designed to figure out, okay, if we get new customers, people who haven't streamed before, and we'll know that because they have to basically include their Twitter handle, right? So we can't just like give you out per ad. We're not going to just airdrop it to every address that streams $1,000, because someone out there is probably going to just stream a lot and it's just one person. So we'll tie it to your Twitter. We'll know, okay, this is a new streamer. They stream $1,000. We gave them $100, and how many of them stick around, right? And then of the people who stick around, how much volume do they stream and how much do we collect in fees? And then the next time we can do it, we'll just sort of know exactly what our cost to acquire a customer is. And we'll also know the customer lifetime value. So those two statistics, cost to acquire a customer and customer lifetime value, are the two crucial statistics that we need to run an effective marketing sector here. So that's the plan with this $100 for $1,000 is to collect those statistics. And yeah, once we have those statistics, we can kind of more effectively pump money into marketing, since we have the data we need to know what's going to be effective. So
just to add on to that, using the referral system that we made in the app is going to also be useful here, because it'll assist us in gathering that information. And it'll also just generate like the fees. So it's just better if they go through the referral than not to at the end of the day, because we still make that percentage off of the referral fees. So what we need to do, though, I think this is very important to stress, because we're hoping to start by June 1st. But what we need to do before that is redeploy the contracts and run like thorough testing this time. Because last time when we launched V2, we had a lot of unsatisfied customers due to the lack of like thorough testing. Maybe some people did testing, but they didn't cover everything. I think I'm devoting more time into that, since I'm willing to do it, and I know that this is a pretty important thing. I just think that it's really important to stress this again. We really do need to run these tests as much as possible, so that we don't disappoint people, so that we don't waste people's time and money, and so that we don't look bad at the end of the day. But as soon as we get these two things down and we have a simple plan for how we're going to start running those campaigns, then we'll be putting a little bit of money into that to make that happen and start collecting data and see where we go from there. Is there anything anybody wants to add on to that? All right.
No, I think that's good. I mean, we should also give a shout out to Elias. I don't think he's here, but Ciro, I mean, you've used Testany now, right? Yeah, I saw your pie chart of tests, and that is the solution to the thorough testing problem. The solution to the thorough testing problem is to use the testing tool that was built by one of our strongest contributors. So when we say thorough testing, we don't just mean like we're going to go click around the app, or I'm going to just ask people to test it and trust them. What we have now is we have a tool that actually has a list of every single interaction in the app. It includes, what to expect from that interaction. And we have a way of tracking when was it last tested, who last tested it. And so this time around, we'll actually use that tool, and we'll be able to get a good, clean view of what's working in the app and what's not working. Before
I just had a conversation with Elias. I hope
sorry for saying your name wrong. Sorry.
So I just had a conversation. Let me just check if no new participants. So yeah, I just had a conversation with him, and he's been walking me through how to make new tests so that we can do some more thorough testing on the contract side. And as soon as I get done with all the tests in the app, I will be writing a document just like detailing how to do this. It's really, really simple. One of the things that kept me from doing this was just like I don't have that much time. So learning a new thing is like a real investment for me. But now that I actually went through it and did everything, it's really simple. You could do it with like background videos playing or whatever. It doesn't require that much concentration. There's a like detailed step-by-step list of how to do everything and how to see if it's working or not. And after you're done, it has like a list, like it generates a list of all the problems that there are that you can then go and make bounties for people to fix. And that's what I'm doing right now. But hopefully, after this like period, we will integrate this into the QA process. So either the reviewer or the person that's making the PR is going to go through this process before we merge it into the app and then have that cause issues. We'll see how it goes. This is still pretty new, and we're just learning how to use it right now. But I think it's going to be a very valuable tool for us. And now we're going to be moving on to the end of the subsidies for the contracts, for the V2 contracts. I think they expired like 2 days ago, and we need to redeploy our contracts. So for now, I think everybody had to cancel their market streaming. Can you add on to that?
Well, it's more complicated than that, right? So we had an app, we had the RIC USDC market get jailed, which means it becomes unusable for new streamers, but for old streamers, it still continues to work. So that happened like April, second week of April, right? So I went and looked into it, and for the most part, it seemed like it was just that contract that was broken. And it was due to what I thought was one issue, which was the refunding of the payment. Well, just last week I was testing it and I found something, and then JT Riley confirmed that there is another issue which stems from the 000 address being used for organic referrals. So basically there are two issues, right? The second one was not caught when the RIC USD market went down, and that second issue is in all the markets. So people on Sunday came into the bugs channel, into the help channel, and started asking, hey, like, I don't think my stream's working. And the reason it wasn't was because on like May 5th or May 6th and 7th, I forget exactly the days, but basically all the other apps started getting jailed at the end of last week. And then so new streamers who showed up after those apps are jailed, their experience is not working because the apps are jailed, right? So that's fine, right? So apps break, things in production break, that's okay. You know, we're not losing a significant amount of anyone's money, nothing that we can't reimburse at this point. So it's fine. When we have these subsidies, the purpose of the subsidies is to attract people to the contracts. And rather than invest a lot of time in upgradability, which I'm still kind of hoping someone is willing to tackle, what we do instead is we just add subsidies to the newest contracts. So the incentive to move over is, well, the new contracts give you RIC subsidies. So that's sort of how we've been rolling this out. And since these contracts are pretty much hosed, we'll redeploy new contracts with these things fixed, and then we'll add subsidies to those new contracts, at which point people will be incentivized to move over to the new contracts, or not. I mean, you know, if you're not incentivized, you can just keep streaming to the old ones and like lose money. Now, one thing we did is the apps that got jailed, Shreyas actually went through, and there is a feature in the contracts that when they get jailed, we can close your streams. So if you notice, like almost all the streams got, all the markets volumes went to like 0 because we basically force closed everyone's streams. So that's sort of us just kind of doing the right thing when our things break, trying to prevent people from losing more money. But yeah, that's where that is.
So hopefully with the launch of these new contracts, and if we do the thorough testing this time, and we actually take our time before like announcing that we're launching and all that stuff, we could catch a lot of the issues before they happen. And hopefully if there's more than one person doing the testing, like more than a couple of people, if a lot of people participate in this process, then we can cover more grounds and we can get those edge cases out of the way. But at the end of the day, like these things happen again, and progress is slow, and we're not the only ones experiencing this market right now. So it'll be all right. And it's good that we get to rework things. But that's it for the contracts. We're moving on to the front end pipeline. So this is only really relevant for people in the front end at the moment. But recently what happened was the pipeline was broken. If you made a pull request, the QA link would not get generated. And anything like when we merge things into V2, it would not go directly into staging or into the main app. So one of our members, Samir, he went through and made some adjustments to how this works and fixed the connection issue. So now when we do merge things, they should be available on the app. This should also like reduce costs because we were paying a lot for that pipeline, about like 500 euros a month, which is about $700. And we hope we hope by doing this that we can maintain like a consistent flow with the development, like consistent bug fixes, new features added, just a better time for all the developers involved. So the changes that were made, they decide whether or not like a link gets generated for the QA. So what you would do is you choose a bounty that you want to work on. You do whatever you need to do. You complete it. You test it on your machine. You find somebody that's willing to review your work. And then after that, you make the pull request. You add a tag that's ready for review. That's what's going to generate the QA link. It's the ready for review tag on GitHub. After the link is generated, somebody will review it. As soon as that review is done, we'll close it, and then your work gets merged, and hopefully you get paid for your work that Friday. Some important things to just notice is that if you don't have somebody that's ready to review your work, don't add the ready for review tag. All that's going to do is cost us more money and cause issues with the pipeline. So you just need to be really conscious when you are about to add that tag. And besides that, all the Dependabot stuff that was added a couple of months ago, that's no longer going to generate QA links. So when we do merge those, we need to immediately test on the staging to see if anything broke, because sometimes like you update a package and just things break because they're not compatible. So that's something that we also need to keep track of. I'll try to add that into GitHub so everybody gets a chance to see it. We also have an option to go with a company called Vercel. They have like an automated pipeline, so we don't need to do the whole Kubernetes and containers and all that stuff. Like it's just done, ready and done. It costs about $20 per person. We have about 12 contributors on the front end, so that's $2,240. At the moment, we're testing to see how much this new pipeline is costing. If it costs less, then we'll keep this going. If it costs more, then we'll move over to Vercel. But at the moment, both options are available. You'll be able to see that in the links that are generated. Anybody have questions, or if anybody wants to add anything onto that? All right, well, that pretty much concludes what we have to talk about. I want to open the floor up to our contributors and members. If anybody wants to mention something or ask a question, or I don't know, just now's your chance.